Right, Jams, you've been lied to by the biggest creators in the world. You've been told that building your dream life and fueling it with an online business has to be hard, it's got to be challenging, or it's got to be a bloody grind. What if I told you that's all total bullshit? What if instead of being an endless grind where you feel like you're constantly beating your head against a brick wall, you can build a dream business where work not only feels effortless, but it also feels like you're just playing. And most importantly, that it can be done in only a handful of hours a day, so that you actually have time to do the things that you love to do. And how do I know that that's possible? Because in the past 14 months, not only have I grown my consulting business from zero to our largest month of $54,000, but I've helped dozens of other creators also build their dream businesses inside my growth accelerator and private communities Scale 20. This is the first episode of a 6-part mini-series where I'm going to take you through the exact blueprint I've used to build my business from zero in just the past 12 months. My goal in this mini-series is to give you everything that you need to scale a successful and profitable online microeducation business so you can get to your next 20K monthly goal, but importantly, doing it in a way which fuels your dream life. Now, if you're new to the channel, my name's Tom Youngs, and 10 years ago, my life looked very different to what it does now. In 2014, I was a cosmetic dentist working in the UK, but I quickly realized that that job was lacking and not giving me the one thing that I valued the most: freedom. So I quit after 2 years of practice, and I spent the next 6 years in tech as a consultant helping some of the biggest retail and luxury brands in the world improve their customer experiences of their websites and their apps. Now, I knew I wanted to become an entrepreneur after reading The 4-Hour Work Week back in 2011 when I was in my second year of university. So in November 2021, 3 years ago, I quit my last ever 9-to-5 job as a digital consultant, and for the next 2 years, I ran an agency where I helped businesses and creators launch and grow online communities. Now, despite us building that agency to 40 to 50K per month, I was still dead broke at the end of every single month. We had super low profit margins, we were always working with nightmare clients, and doing tons of done-for-you work just beat me to the point of literal despair. There were times when I would break down crying on Zoom calls with my co-founders because I was sick and tired of begging them to release some cash to me at the end of every month just so that I could afford to pay my rent and bills. For months, I got used to going to the shops not knowing if my card would get declined. And I'm sure you can imagine, 8 years after quitting dentistry and leaving a solid 9-to-5 in tech, I was left questioning if I had made a bunch of wrong decisions. My closest friends and family saw how beaten down I was, and I was starting to get asked the question if it was time for me to go back and get another job. Finally, I reached breaking point. I left the agency in July 2023 and decided I needed to take back control and roll the dice on myself. I asked myself this one question: was this agency model really the right model to fuel my dream life? And 14 months after asking myself that question, I can confirm it wasn't. Because everything changed for me when I changed the model I was using and decided that I was going to build my business by design rather than by default. But the real game changer was in fact realizing I just didn't know what I was doing. And despite not having any money, I tapped into the most important skill of entrepreneurship, which is being resourceful. And I found the money I needed to invest an uncomfortable amount of money into a mentor. And I'll explain later how I managed to pay thousands for a mentor whilst being dead broke. But there is absolutely zero chance I could have figured this out alone. And after taking that leap of faith into myself and into a mentor, 1 year later, I have what no longer feels like a job. It just feels like I get to play every single day. And also it feels like my clients are just now my best friends. So where did I start? Well, instead of building my business based off some random game plan, I decided to design my business around constraints. I decided to build my business around a set of rules. So rule number 1, no sales calls. So my calendar is empty. And it means I can just live anywhere in the world. Like right now, I'm in Cape Town in South Africa, escaping the worst season in the UK. And in January, in a couple of months, I'm going to be heading to the Alps where I can do my other passion, which is skiing. Rule number 2, working only a few hours a day so that I can go do the things that I love, like working out, playing golf, going to raves and festivals, and most importantly, spending time with my family and friends. And finally, rule number 3, simplicity. My business has to be simple. I hate complexity. And I think humans have a natural ability for overcomplicating shit. So my business has to be simple to run, simple to scale, and simple to manage. And stay with me here because I'm going to show you later in the video exactly how I've done this. So how have I been able to go from the point where I was considering the unthinkable to, in 14 months, now truly living the life I've always dreamt about when I was stuck commuting 3 hours a day to and from work on crowded and packed London Underground trains, feeling like I was just another rat. At the core of the model I've used is the secret the biggest creators you know and love have been using to build wildly profitable micro-education businesses over the past few years. Guys like Dan Koh, Aman Gadzi, Andrew Kirby, Hamza, Ali Abdaal, and tons more. It all starts with this idea of becoming a value creator, someone who puts out so much high-value content to their audience and builds so much trust that not only do they not need to have sales calls, they have people queuing to work with them. Goldman Sachs have predicted the creator economy is going to grow to $500 billion by 2027. And that's only 2 years away now. But we have entered the next season of the creator economy. The rules of the game are changing faster than ever with the increase in the number of creators, the entry of businesses starting to make content, and the rise of AI and automation. What worked 5 years ago just doesn't work anymore. The online platforms are becoming noisy, but this is actually the secret weapon for how you're going to win. And we're going to talk about exactly how to do this in part 4 of this series. But time is running out to get your slice of the pie by building your authority and credibility by becoming a value creator in your niche. And it's critical that you understand these new rules in the creator economy so you can not only survive this unprecedented time, but you can actually thrive and create the business which fuels your dream lifestyle. And the biggest shift that we're now seeing is the move away from using funnels. Now, this is the key shift that I made this year, which allowed me to grow my business in a way which now feels effortless. And the truth is, funnels were incredible 10 years ago. Back when Facebook ads just came out onto the scene, paid advertising was pretty much free back then. And the early adopters, people who I'm sure you're familiar with, guys like Alex Hormozy, Alex Becker, Sam Ovens, who all wrapped their heads around paid advertising back then, made the most money because they could buy huge volumes of traffic for pretty much free. Funnels worked great because you could just fill the top of the funnel with tons of cheap leads, and you could afford for most of them to slip through and end up in a big pile of dead leads because you'd catch a few along the way. Now, back 10 years ago, it didn't matter that funnels were super inefficient. The traffic was so damn cheap, but things have changed a lot. Paid advertising costs have skyrocketed because the biggest businesses in the world now are pumping all of their marketing budget into it. So for smaller businesses or creators, running cold advertising funnels where you drive traffic to an opt-in page has become incredibly hard to win at. Only the biggest creators who have tons of data and a massive budget are able to play that game. But there is fortunately a new way. And that new way, my friend, is by using a flywheel. Now, it's super important to understand that in the high-ticket services world, it can take anywhere from 90 days all the way up to 2+ years for a lead to feel like they've built enough trust to want to work with you. Unlike funnels where you rely on huge volumes of traffic and unless they convert that day, results in a big old pile of dead leads never to interact with your brand again, flywheels keep leads within a simple system which nurtures them over time until the time comes for them to say, yes, I'm in. Now, I get messages out of the blue from people who I first connected with months and months ago who are finally ready to work with me. Now, funnels leak energy like nothing else, whereas flywheels store and compound energy over time. Flywheels are the evergreen business model which you can go all in on building without the fear that one day your new lead generation funnel tactic, which suddenly goes out of fashion, stops working, which happens all the time. And if you're a creator and you've been doing this for a while, I bet you've used a bunch of different funnels. So instead of having a funnel which relies on lead volume, I use a flywheel which relies on lead efficiency. Now, I call this model the one simple flywheel. Now, I told you one of my constraints was simplicity, right? Now, before we dive into the flywheel, it's super important to start with some simple definitions relating to the client journey in a high-ticket creative business. There are 4 distinct stages in the life cycle of a high-ticket client, and each part of the one simple flywheel is a component that helps convert someone to the next stage. First up, we have a lead. This is someone that we've earned the right to communicate with in a closed channel like a DM or email. This can be a new follower, it could be someone in your audience, someone who's engaged with your content, or someone in your email list. The second stage is a customer. This is someone who's transacted with us with what I call a low-ticket trust transaction. This stage is crucial because it helps us identify people who are the hottest in our pipeline, because someone who's paid us actual money is a vote with their dollars telling you they're seriously thinking about it. The third stage is converting someone into a client. This is someone who we then commit time and resources to help achieve a specific transformation. And finally, the most important stage of the life cycle is a case study. This is someone, a person or a business, who we have achieved that specific transformation with. This is the single most valuable step in the client journey, because this is the fuel we need to sign more clients. It's the proof that we can actually do what we say we can do. This simple 4-stage life cycle is how I've built my business, and it's how someone like my client Steven can make over 30K in a single month with an audience of less than 2,000. Okay, this is how the one simple flywheel works. Let's use Steven as an example here. His flywheel is made up of 4 simple parts. The first part is his one simple offer. This is the most important part of his flywheel, and it's where most people spend the least amount of energy. This component is actually how we help people achieve a specific transformation. The goal of the one simple offer is to help people go from where they currently are to a dream outcome. And yes, you actually have to be great at your job and get people results. This is what we're going to be diving deep into in the next video, so make sure you've hit the subscribe button and stay watching till the end, where I'm going to link it to you. So now Steven has a replicable process where he can predictably get people results. We then work backwards in the flywheel. He now needs a process that's going to help pre-sell his audience on the idea of working with him to get that transformation, and we call this our one simple video in our flywheel. Now, this is a critical component because it's the key process which builds what I call reciprocal equity with your audience. You build trust with your audience through the law of reciprocity, which is where you give so much free value that they feel like they owe you. Reciprocity is one of the first laws of persuasion in the book Influence, The Psychology of Persuasion by Robert Cialdini. Highly recommend you check that out. Now, here's the crazy thing. This trust building effect with online buyers was actually validated by a research study Google dropped last year, where they found in order for someone to build up enough trust to buy from someone else online, they needed to spend at least 7 hours consuming content across 11 different touch points and in 4 different formats. And that's why long form content is the ultimate sales weapon. So I think of long form content here on YouTube and my podcast as a goodwill bank account. Every piece of long form content I create is a sales asset that I deposit into the goodwill bank account, which then compounds over time. Because YouTube is a search engine, so the content that you post now will still be getting traffic in years to come. The next part in our flywheel, again working backwards, is our one simple community. Remember, I said I've been building communities online for 3 years now, but I have a very different definition of communities than other creators. When I say communities, you're probably thinking of things like a Discord group, a Facebook group, or like a Skool community, which I have. But that's not what I define as a community. In our world, those types of communities aren't communities, those are lead magnets. In our world, I define community as your email list. And this is arguably the single most important asset you need to focus on building. Tim Ferriss was once asked if he lost everything, what would be the one thing he would keep? What did he say? His email list. That's because as a creator, our email list is the only thing we truly own. We don't own the attention that we have on all these platforms like Instagram, TikTok, or even YouTube. We just rent the attention from these platforms. We could be kicked off and lose all of our followers and subs at any time. But an email list, you can take that to the grave. Remember I said last year I paid for a mentor despite being completely broke? Well, when I knew how much I needed to work with a mentor, which was $8,000 at the time, I got myself a part-time freelance job for 4 months working as a growth consultant for the #1 email newsletter agency run by the founder of Kit, formerly known as ConvertKit, and the creator Sahil Bloom. That part-time consulting job gave me just enough money for me to pay for my new mentor at $2K per month. Now, the side benefit to that gig was during those 4 months, I got to see under the hood of the email operations of the biggest creators in the world. So I stole all their strategies. And guess who I gave them to? Yep, guys like Steven and the rest of my clients. So in our one simple flywheel, our one simple community component is building our email list by getting qualified leads through the final part, our one simple ad protocol. Now you may be thinking, but Tom, you just said ads are too expensive. Yes, if you're using funnels. So for funnels, an amazing return on ad spend is between 3 and 4x. So that means if I put $1 in, I'm gonna be getting $3 to $4 out. Now keep in mind, that's an amazing return on ad spend for funnels. Most people can't even break even running funnels. So they have to use this crazy complex system of upselling, cross-selling, downselling, and all this other fucking bullshit that gives me a massive headache. And as you know, I'm here to keep things simple. So for the past 12 months, I've just used one simple ad on Instagram, which takes only 3 clicks and 30 seconds to set up, to not only build my audience with perfect future clients, but also automate getting qualified followers who we can open conversations with and drive into our flywheel. Now here's how much more efficient flywheels are than funnels. Because aggregated over the past 12 months, I'm not at just a 3x of ROAS, not just a 4x ROAS, not even a 5x ROAS. For every dollar that I've invested into ads, I've got $10.2 return on ad spend. And when we dive into part 4 of this mini-series, you'll learn why I consider it an investment and not an expense. Okay, so at this point, you're probably thinking, okay, cool, but will this work for me and my business? And the answer is, fuck yes. Not only has it worked for me, but you've just seen how it's worked for Steven and his dating coaching business, but we've also replicated this with a load of other creators over the past year. Felipe, who quit his 9-to-5 and now runs a podcast growth consultancy. Ben, who grew to over 30K per month in his Amazon FBA mentorship program. Dan, who had a record 20K a month for his coaching business where he helps traders with their mindset. And guys like Austin, who in just 6 months has gone from a full 9-to-5 to now helping the biggest creators in the world launch communities, had a 67K launch for one of his clients recently, and is now in Alex Hormozi's private cohort, The 100. So the question isn't, will it work for you? The question is, will you do the work until it does? Okay, here's your homework. I need you to do a mini audit on your business before the next episode. So go grab a pen right now. So number 1, how big is your primary short form platform audience right now? Instagram, TikTok, wherever, in LinkedIn. Take a look and write that number down. Number 2, how big is your email list right now? Go write that number down. Number 3, how many subscribers do you have on your YouTube channel or your podcast? Go write that number down. And number 4, how many long form pieces of content have you posted in the past 3 months? Write that number down. Now I'm gonna guess that only about 10%, maybe less, watching this actually did that. And sadly, this is the exact reason why only a fraction of people end up actually winning. So look, if you're new here, you're about to find out how different I am to other creators. Now, most creators wanna be loved by everyone. Most creators just create super boring, bland content that sounds and looks like everyone else's. They never share any opinions because they're scared of being hated. Now, when you realize that haters only hate themselves, you stop giving a fuck, because it's just sad. You think the creators you look up to and watch leave hate comments? No. So instead, I'm cool just being liked by a select few of you. And look, that might be you or it might not be. So before I waste your time going into all the detail in the upcoming videos, I'm gonna give you an opportunity to respectfully piss off. Now, I'm here on a mission to help grow the world's greatest online educators. I'm looking to build a community of absolute fucking winners only. So what that means is, if you aren't intent on being one of the very best operators in your specific niche in the world, then I have to ask you to respectfully piss off. And for the rest of you, if you found this video valuable, make sure you've subbed, hit the like button, and let me know in the comments what your niche and income goal for the next 12 months is. I want to see what you guys are building this year, and I want to see who you're helping. Like I said, my goal in this 6-part mini-series is to give you everything that you need to scale a successful and profitable online microeducation business to your next 20K monthly goal, but doing it in a way which fuels your dream life. Now, in the next video, I'm going to show you exactly how I think about structuring offers so you only ever have to work with dream clients. And if you thought this was valuable and you're the type of person who wants to cut straight to the point, you want to skip all this and just get my help to scale your business, click the first link in the description. It's going to take you to a short video explaining how Scale 20 works. Right, champs, that was sick. See you in the next one.